Yes, you read that right. Today we're going to be creating a anime/manga version of a video game character that I choose. What I've done here is created a document, yes, a document, of some of my favorite games from my childhood, and I'm going to go ahead and try and pick out a character or something to draw from these images. Here is my document. This I have prepared on a Google drawing sheet. No idea that Google Docs or Google Drive or whatever had this feature. It's actually pretty fun for making mood boards. I'm not going to dwell too much on this because I want to get straight into the drawing. This here is the Hitman franchise. My experience with this game is one that I'll remember for the rest of my life. When I was a kid, I went with my mum to a charity shop and there was a demo disc for a PS2. These are usually found in magazines and things like that, but I specifically remember this one standing out. It had a demo of Hitman Contract. I don't know how many hours I spent playing that. There was one mission on it and where you have to blow up the submarine. The whole Hitman franchise, if you haven't played it, I don't know what you're doing. I think he will be a great character to draw in like an anime/comic style. Let's go over here. Let's zoom in on our boy, our boldest boy. I'm going to take a screenshot of the boy, pop him in here just so we have a point of reference. Where do I even get started, man? Let's see if I can actually just recreate this sketch that we have here, or this actual game cover. By the way, game covers back in the day were just so clean. Loved them, especially the Hitman ones. I'm gonna try and focus on getting his face shape right first because he has a very specific head. You guys to bear in mind, I haven't drawn for a while. I've actually had a bit of a break with my art, so this is definitely a way to come back into it. I'm actually gonna go straight away and remove information I don't need. Shadows go all the way around his head here, so I'm gonna actually draw them in. I'm not gonna have him holding his signature guns yet. I'm gonna have this as a little practice session. So I have some basic information for his head. This is, it looks strange, I know, but we're gonna have to remember this is a manga. I'm making this in a manga style. So therefore manga, what's the iconic thing with manga? Slightly larger eyes and a clean line style. That's what we're gonna kind of go for. But we're gonna try and implement that into this head. Also, it's extremely hot and I cannot wait for winter to be around. I'm gonna give him some manga inspired eyes. Boy looks menacing. Noses are a strange one with manga because some people like to go for more stylized noses. Others prefer to like go with a more realistic. Vagabond is an awesome example. This is top tier manga in my opinion. I don't know if any of you've read it. This is beautiful. Styling is fantastic. The amount of effort that went into each panel, each drawing in this manga is insane. I'm making him look very grumpy. But this is just a lay-in. I'll probably end up changing it a little bit as we go. Does my boy have eyebrows? Does Hitman have eyebrows? Not really. I don't think he has eyebrows. He just has a very menacing face all the time. This... God, he looks terrible. Actually, I want to follow the styling of what we have here. And as you can see, his other eye is covered. It's a shadow. Cannot even see it. So I'm going to do the same. Not because I want to do less work. It's for dramatic effect. Adjust the eye a little bit so it's way more menacing. That is what we're looking for. That is way more what we're looking for. He does have eyebrows. Confirmed lore. Hitman does have eyebrows. So far, it's looking pretty good. I'm actually liking the look of this. Add a little bit more detail into his ears because I've only done little slabs here. Where there's no information, there's no lines. So it'll be easier to read this image if I clean it up. Leaving in these lines actually, in my opinion, just gives it a little bit more character, a little bit more soul. And we like soul, we like character. Gotta give him some anger lines. I don't know, what do you call these? What do you call these? Chat, what is this? Obviously anime uses more cell shading rather than actual rendering. So we're not gonna be doing any rendering for this. I don't know how to make his lips more menacing. Okay, yes, all right, that looks better. I don't have keybinds anymore. I used to have keybinds on my Photoshop, which I do recommend you make some keybinds. They're actually very useful, but also don't worry about it. Just draw, man. Just get to work. Get to work. One thing I'm definitely noticing with the drawing right now, what we have, our creation, our beautiful sketch of this bold creature is that he's a bit wide. I've made him a little bit of a wide meme. What we're going to do is, with the magic of the digital platform, I'm going to grab his face with Command T. Using this amazing AI technology, I'm going to squeeze him. That didn't work. I'm going to squeeze him a little bit. And now he looks more like it. Okay, I'm going to actually leave that part to the cell shading, and I'm going to slightly lower how strong that line is. Let's get to the other parts before I get too carried away with random details, which I don't need to. That's annoying. There we go. Okay, larger eraser. Remove thyself. The shadow, we have the shadow pretty nailed down. Look at our hitman. Ooh, alert. We're going to do a little bit of analysis here. Something I recommend all of you do with your artwork. Take some time whenever you're drawing, in between drawing sessions, kind of take a step back and look at your art, because I just noticed something with this. It's maybe a little thing. Do you see his shape here? What I've done, I've kind of made his head go in already here. If we look at this, it goes out and then in, whereas I've not really done that here. So he becomes a little bit more Minecraft. Hopefully this brings a little bit more similarity to our actual character that we're doing here. Mr. 𝐷𝐵𝐸𝐺. That's some Hitman lore for you. If you haven't never played the game, you will not understand what I just said. Also, I do remember in these games his head actually being kind of squarish. And what I'm going to do here is, with the magic of, once again, AI, I'm going to improve the shape of his head. Do not want to make him into Megamind. Just a slight alteration has made him look more like him. Beautiful. Anyone wondering what brush I'm using? I'm using a 𝐷𝐵𝐸𝐺 pack. I don't know where. Pretty sick brush. I like it. It gives it a little bit of a sketchy feel. Let's compare the cheek here to what I've drawn. I think we'll clean it up a little bit. I've definitely made the lines a little bit too thick here, because going by a rule, what you want to do is you want to make your thicker outlines in places where there's a shadow. So for example, over here we have this line. This should technically be a thicker line. This is an area of little light, so therefore I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. But this part already, it does have a little bit more light, so I'm going to make it a little bit thinner, kind of a little bit more realistic. Also realize the shadow here should kind of start more over here. We want the eye to be the biggest focus here. That's how art works. You have to pick a point of contrast, which you want to obviously highlight. And the eye is probably the most popular place to do that, because people are naturally drawn towards eyes. That's where people are going to be looking. I know at the moment it looks like he's like burning away. That kind of does look cool. I'm going to come in here and add the shadow sort of area. So I'm going to use a selection tool and just block this in, just to make sure that we've got this area covered. Actually, I should have been using the free lasso tool. No. Over to this, and we're going to paste it in. Now, look at that. Oh, he's become 50% more menacing. I'm going to combine those two layers because I'm a maniac. I think an issue with this at the moment is it's kind of lacking the anime part a little bit. He has very blue eyes. I've never realized Hitman has such blue eyes. I'm going to adjust him a tiny bit again, because I actually think I've made him a little bit too... Using my favorite tool, the liquify tool, we're going to squeeze his face in a little. And if I flip this canvas, which I don't think I have a bind for that, it doesn't look too bad. I think I need to adjust the cheekbone a little bit more. So what I'm going to do now, bang, create a new layer, and now we're going to lasso tool this again and add a base color. He's a very pinkish guy. No, I don't want a gradient. That's kind of looking like what we need. There we go. Better. What I'm doing now is just separating these color layers. As someone who's looking at this artwork, I don't want you to be looking at his tie. That's not the point of this drawing. The point of his drawing is to look at his face, to look at his eyes and his emotions. So therefore, you don't really need to fixate on the detail, which is at the bottom there, because that's just not where you want people to be looking. You want people to be looking at his face. So therefore, that's going to need the most detail out of the whole image. And we'll do a very off-white color. There we go. Oh yeah, his shirt also. I'm going to make sure I choose a red that's not so saturated. Like I mentioned, I don't want you looking at that part of the image too much. And if I put a very dark red in there, it's just going to ruin it. It's going to remove that aesthetic that I'm going for. It's going to remove your focus as a viewer, and I do not want that. We're also going to get these two, fill them out with dark. This is looking pretty good. Make sure his eyes are blue. Let's add a little bit of the detail that we're missing in here. Just some final touches. Obviously, like I mentioned, I don't want to be adding in too much detail in places where I do not need it. I'm gonna give it a little bit more of a serious look. I don't know if any of you here have watched One Punch Man, but I absolutely love it when the design choice, whoever made the design choice in One Punch Man to make him go from like a balloon looking character to this like serious face in random moments is my favorite thing about the show, and I want to implement that in my own artwork. The more serious look, there's a lot more lines, sketchy lines in the image itself, so I'm actually going to try and get that effect in here. I think it'll make him look really serious and mean. Let's give him a darker mouth. See, I wonder how this will look actually, because you see the nose line, I've made it very faint, but if I make it all the way down here like it is in the image, that's gonna give him a little bit more meanness. Basically, we're just trying to make him look as mean as possible. Like, this dude's after you to kill you. Will it look better if I give him like eyeliner down here? Now he looks deranged. And I'm gonna add the tiniest bit of detail into the bottom here, but like I mentioned, not a lot, because this is not important. This isn't what we are going for. Add this for realism's sake. We're gonna start adding in a little bit more cell shading. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the lasso tool for this. One thing I'm not going to do here. This may be something, if you have a reference next to you, it may be very tempting for you to use the pipette tool, or whatever it's called, the color picker. It might be very tempting for you to use that and then pick out the color from the image. No, we don't do that around here. What you want, you want to be learning these colors. You want to be learning the color palettes. You want to be learning how to use them. By that, I mean, go to the color picker, right? What you can do is you can select colors that you've already used, by all means. What I'm going to use is an airbrush. I really don't want to be too rigid with these, so that's why I'm going in with airbrush, because it's going to add a subtle softness to the edges of everything that I'm painting in here, which is what we're looking for. Okay, so I've added a little bit of that, and you can also see he's got like a greenish tint to him. We're going for a mean look, so we don't really want to be too warm. We want to be a little bit colder. Pay attention to over here, the color wheel. If we pay attention to this, if you move up here, that's warmer. If you move down here, it's cooler. What I'm going to try and do is select like a murky green and overlay it. So I'm going to make sure I select about a 30 opacity with this, and I'm going to just come in here and just give him a little bit of a blue tint in certain areas. It's definitely going to look less colorful and maybe a little bit more muddy, but I actually want to go for that in this. That is what I'm looking for with this image. His eyes are a lot darker around here. I'm not even using precision to paint here. I'm just kind of feeling how I'm experimenting here, really. That's to be honest, yeah, that's pretty much all I'm doing. I'm experimenting with this. It's something I've not been doing enough in my artwork, because I've been very rigid with it recently. Doing something like this is a lot more fun. And I'm going to combine these two, because now I'm going to go into some of my tools and see if I can play with the saturation a little bit, maybe the colors. So what I'm going to do now, add a solid color of a grayish background. This is going to help with the drawing part. This should have been done earlier, so apologies for that. I'm going to give him those blue eyes back, because he's lost them here. Here he is, Mr. Tobias Reaper, Mr. 47, Agent 47. This is my version of this image that we were just working with, and I reckon it's a bit fun. It was a bit of fun. I think he looks pretty mean. I think he looks like a good cartoon version of this image here. I think I managed to kind of capture that. I don't know if it's fully in a manga style, but it's definitely in a nice like kind of cartoon comic book style. I reckon this looks kind of fun. So yeah, it actually turned out pretty well. Obviously there's some things to touch up, but this is more of a sketch, not a full render, which I would be happy to do at some point as well. So games hold a lot of nostalgia in our lives, you know, we've had great moments playing games. Sometimes it's great to revisit that. It was fun to go back and have a look at my favorite games and pick out something to draw from them. And in this case it was Hitman, but maybe in another video it'll be someone else. Let me know if you enjoyed this whole session, whether you have any of these games that kind of hold a special place in your heart. And if you do, draw them and post them in our Discord, which will be in the description below. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.